Recording in progress.
Fastest clapper.
Yeah.
We're gonna be running our 2023 NFL Draft DB rankings. Gonna get straight into it. Number one prospect on both of our boards, potentially. At least for me, it is actually Christian Gonzalez. I just think when you look at his size and athleticism, his coverage skills, he's so smooth. He's a guy that I think out of all of the DB prospects could come out and be like a Pat Surtain. Just immediate impact on defense, immediate playmaker, immediate lockdown corner. You can see from his film, he's a willing tackler as well. He does it all at the cornerback position.
And yeah, I'm a big fan. I don't have him as my number one. I have him at number two, but I think him and Witherspoon are 1A, 1B in this draft. I really like Gonzalez. I wanted the Eagles to get him for a while until we resigned both our cornerbacks, but like you said, he's got all pro potential in the league. He's got great length at 6'2". Got great ball skills. He ran well. I mean, yeah, he's competition maybe isn't like the SEC or Big Ten, but he still isn't going against any scrubs. This play, he's just all over the receiver. I've seen that play highlights a lot. He's just great in man coverage, great in zone. Like he has the potential to be an all-pro corner, like you said one day.
Yeah, and like I said, I think my comp for him is just like a Pat Surtain, just super, super smooth already when he like coming out being a super developed corner, play man or zone. He can do it all. So then my number two cornerback is gonna have to be Devin Witherspoon, the most aggressive cornerback. You can see right there how he comes up and hits. I mean, he's the most willing tackler out of any of the cornerbacks, and he really does lay the boom. He's also super sticky in man coverage. I mean, he can really cover anybody in college football, playing in the Big Ten, playing against great wide receivers. He's able to do it all. And like you could see, he's like glue. I mean, he's a glove to these wide receivers, great coverage. The only major concerns with him, I mean, he ran well, but it's just his size. He's in a draft where all of the cornerbacks are somehow like 6'2" and above. He's the smallest one.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Witherspoon. I have him at my number one corner in this draft. He's just a gritty cornerback that's going to come up and help with run support, but he's also going to come back and clamp up your favorite receiver in man coverage. I think the most complete corner in the draft just based on his run stopping abilities and coverage. I have some interesting stats about him. He got targeted 63 times this year, only let up 22 catches, and didn't allow a single touchdown. And you see he's playing against elite offenses in Michigan, Ohio State. Penn State's offense is not bad. So I think playing in the Big Ten, playing against that elite competition will make that transition to the NFL that much easier for him.
My number three corner, or my number three DB, I guess I would say, we're doing DBs, so corners and safeties. Number three is Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. Best length in the draft, great size. I think he's 6'2" with the longest arms out of any DB. He's super aggressive. He's super handsy, and that's his biggest concern. But he's great in coverage. You can look at his PBUs and how many he had last year, even though he didn't get some as many interceptions as some of the other DBs. You can see from his pass breakups just how talented he is, how tall he is, and for his size, how well he ran, I think is going to be very good for him. He's a very aggressive corner. And another corner, all of these guys are really willing tacklers, which is not something we always see. I think against this game in Purdue, I think he might have had like 11 PBUs or something.
Yep.
Which is like a record. He's just, even though he, again, like I said, didn't have the interceptions, I mean, you love to see the pass breakups that he had last year. And with his size, with the NFL pedigree from his father, I mean, you know you're going to get a good player, and that's why he's my number three DB.
And like you said, he's my number three as well. And like you said, maybe the picks aren't there, which it doesn't really always tell the whole story. Like you said, that his game against Purdue is definitely his best game of his career. I think it was 11 pass breakups, which is absurd to me that they even kept targeting him after that. But that just showed his willingness to go out, lock down their number one receiver. He's great. Like you said, he's got great length, great best length in the draft. He's really known for his press coverage ability. He's able to come up and press receivers and he usually wins that press. And I think that's what makes him an elite corner. That can make him an elite corner in the draft is his ability to press some of those receivers and going against receivers, maybe smaller receivers like Devontae Smith. I don't see how Devontae Smith gets off that press. I just think Joey Porter, that's his best part of his game is being able to come up, press the receiver off the line and just don't allow him to get off the line of scrimmage. Like I said, with Witherspoon, great competition going against multiple first round receivers, I'm sure in the future, the likes of Marvin Harrison, another Ohio State receiver, bunch of receivers there that were probably going the first round that Joey Porter Jr. and Devin Witherspoon had to go up against and held their own against.
Yeah, exactly. My number 4 DB is Brian Branch, the safety from Alabama. When you look at his game, he does it all for him. He can play safety, he plays in the box, he play nickel corner. I mean, he really is a well-rounded player and was able to do it all for Alabama's defense. And when you look at a DB coming from that Alabama system under Nick Saban, I mean, they're constantly producing top-tier NFL talent. And he's no different. You can see great coverage. He's also a great tackler. He can really play all over the field. And I think any team would be lucky to get him because he can really be thrown in anywhere. You can see him right now. He's blitzing. He just absolutely blew up that running back trying to block him. But that's exactly the type of stuff he can do. Very well-rounded. I think I saw a Minkah Fitzpatrick comparison just because he can play all over the field, corner, safety. I think he's just super talented. So I think he's my number 4 DB prospect.
And yeah, he's my number 4 on my DB list as well. And he pointed out what I like most about him is his versatility. Teams that are looking for a safety, a slot corner, maybe even a corner. I think he could play anywhere and perform on a high level in the NFL. I think that's one thing he has going for him is that safeties don't always have the best positional value. You've seen safeties fall in previous drafts like Derwin James. Safety just isn't really as regarded as important as other positions in the secondary, maybe like a cornerback. But that's what I like about Branch. He can play anywhere in the secondary and he can play at a high level.
He's very talented. And then my number 5 DB is Deonte Banks, a cornerback from Maryland. He has solid size, great speed. I think he's 4.35 at 6 feet tall, which is great. He has good tape as well, too. You can see him absolutely blanketing the guy and having great coverage, turning his hips and forcing the wide receiver into the out of bounds. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do. That's textbook coverage, making sure the wide receiver had no place to go. And right here, you can see him against Ohio State too. Obviously, can CJ Stroud getting pressured there, but you can see him go up and get the break up right there. He's a really good player. And he's playing against solid competition as well. And I think the thing that really jumps out about him is the athleticism that he has.
And yeah, like you said, it's athleticism. He tested very well at the combine. I believe ran a 4.3 at I think he's 6 foot or 6'1". I think he could come in and be a solid starter for a team one day. And yeah, I really like him. And like you mentioned, his competition. Like I said, for Witherspoon and Porter, they've both gone against top tier talent in the Big Ten, usually known for having very good receivers, and they both held their own. So I think that's a positive thing to look at when evaluating those cornerbacks. And then, what were you gonna say?
Just the way he's able to blanket receivers too, it's very impressive. And then I guess you're number 5.
Yeah, he was going to be my honorable mention, Deonte Banks. And then my 5th cornerback my 5th DB I have is Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. And this is a guy that's a great ball hawk. I think a perfect pro comp for him would be Trayvon Diggs. Looks to make the big play. Look to get the interception against a first round quarterback right there in Will Levis. He just got great ball skills, great vision, can read the quarterback very well. He actually has the most pick sixes in NCAA history, which is a pretty impressive feat that he can get loose after the run, after he picks the quarterback off. A concern about him is his size. He's pretty thin, but I think if he puts on weight, and he's already a good height, so if he puts on a few more LBs, which I'm sure most people do when they come out of the draft and transition to the NFL, I think if he puts on a few more pounds and sticks to his coverage skills, I think he'll be a solid corner in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. With what you were saying, the size thing, you might be able to get around if you're gonna match him up just against smaller wide receivers, but you can't put someone like him on a Mike Evans. That's just too big of a mismatch. That's not going to end well for him. But if you can find ways to just keep him on the smaller receivers, like you said, Devontae Smith, Deontay Johnson, just any of those guys that are a smaller receiver, I think it'll allow him to play to his best ability. Probably the best ball hawk in the draft. He's very, very talented, great hands.
Great at reading quarterback too. You can really see really read the receivers' routes, can really tell when to jump on the routes and when to stay conservative. But that's what I like about him. I think Trayvon Diggs is a really good comparison for him.
Yeah, great competition as well. Yeah, I would say also reminds me of like Kansas City Marcus Peters, who's gonna be a ball hawk for him and really kind of be jumping routes.
Come in and be a playmaker in the secondary for him wherever he goes.
Yep.
Great length. He's able to make those picks like that. He has great length. I believe he's 6'1", which I think is also a plus for him. That helps. I would just like to see him put on a few more LBs and transitioning to the NFL.
Yep. Yeah, and it's again there's some other solid DBs in this draft class. Another safety from Alabama, Jordan Battle. They got the guy DJ Turner from Michigan, who's the best athlete in the draft, I would say. 4.26 at corner. I mean, his tapes. He's again a guy with super high upside, but more of a hit or miss type player. I guess Keelan Barnes came out from Baylor a few years ago, so super speedy. I think he's definitely has better technique than Keelan Barnes. I would say somewhere in between there and Dante Jackson, just a super fast, athletic corner, but another solid guy.
I also like Cam Smith out of South Carolina. I think he's has the potential to be a first-round pick. Another tall corner. I believe he's 6'1". Not the biggest, which I mean, not always a concern, but I think he's another cornerback that could do well in the NFL. Cam Smith.
Yeah, and a guy like Kelee Ringo is another one. I mean, it's a super talented corner class. Another 6'2" corner, ran a 4.36, super athlete. Like when you look at his weight compared to the other corners, he's 207 pounds, ran a 4.36 at 6'2". That's super prototypical measurements and super elite athleticism. The biggest question with him is just from the combine and his hips and just how he can kind of get burned on double moves as well. But if he can really work on that technique, he might have the most upside of any of the corners in that draft just because of his raw athleticism. Then there's also Antonio Johnson from Texas A&M, another solid safety. I mean, the depth here at DB is very solid for this draft class. At corner, there's probably 5 corners or so that are all could arguably be first-round picks. And then there's the top 3 of Witherspoon, Gonzalez, and Porter, who are really all standout type players.
And going back on Kelee Ringo, I know some people might say his stock fell after the national championship performance, which he is going against Marvin Harrison, most likely top 3 pick next year, which I don't think that's a knock on Kelee Ringo. I think he's still a solid corner that doesn't have the best hits. So maybe a move to safety could help him, or maybe he'll stay a corner and maybe he'll perfect his hips. But it just depends on what the team needs and what they think what the team thinks he fits best at.
Yeah, I think solid DB draft. I think all of our top 5 DBs were all solid players, and I think even like some of the guys we mentioned could slip into that top 5. I think there's just a lot of talent at DB.
Yep, I agree.